So here I am today. I'm going to turn off my email so that, yeah, so that we can talk. Tim, how big is your realtor team?
9 people,
9
including
people.
the
That's
support
pretty
staff.
big. And so keeping them fed, keeping the machine going is pretty important, right?
It is, yeah, and Sergey does a heck of a good job of doing that. We're getting leads and tweaking the advertising. Facebook just changed their algorithm, so that was a big, heavy part of it to
Yeah.
diversify more into Google. A marketing guy I know in Toronto that's been at it about 20 years. I've connected them so that he can get some ideas and maybe collaborate to adjust their tactics. But I probably get for buyers, let me think, on a good week, probably 4 or 5
That's very good. I mean, there's nothing wrong
on
with that.
average.
Um,
Yeah, no, not at all.
so there are some things that you might consider doing. I don't do an awful lot of realtor coaching, but out of about the 2,500 people that I've coached, probably close to 100 of them are realtors, and they all know this. They all know you have to list to last.
Totally.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's a kind of a corny statement, but I think it is true. I'm a real estate broker. You're a real estate broker. I think listings are important. So what I thought we could do is we could talk about some simple things that might help, because what I am finding is that a lot of people who are preaching that you have to have a system, it's great to have a system and a funnel and all the rest of that. But there's still some other things that you can do. You've probably heard this too, that God only helps those that help themselves. It's kind of a statement, but I do think there's some really, really simple things that a lot of teams that I've coached have done over and above the usual, the farming the neighborhood, the Facebook advertising campaign, Google AdSense, whatever you might be thinking of today. Writing a blog, that sort of thing. That's all useful stuff, and it's all part of the funnel, I'm sure. But I think there's some other simple things that you can do. And one of the most successful that I found is borrowing other people's email address books. And I may have talked to you about this before, but I don't think so. But if I have, I apologize. And whenever I'm, lacking in coaching clients, or in fact, I don't have as big a realtor team as you do. I only have 4 people, and you have 9. So, my team's much smaller. But whenever we're sort of lacking in clients, and we do have lots of different marketing that we do, but when we're looking for more buyers or more listings, what I'll often do is I'll find other newsletters that I can sponsor. And I don't know if you've done anything like that in your area, but I found that very effective, because sometimes you get, you probably have a newsletter that you put out every month or every quarter, right?
I'm putting that together now. I've got the template basically created, and we're going to start doing that on a more regular basis.
Yeah, so some realtors, as you know, they'll do it once a week, and I think that's way too much. Most people don't want to hear from you every week, even though some people do it. So I recommend either quarterly or monthly, and that's it. And so you should have your own newsletter. But what I do is in Ottawa, where I'm based, we have, I think, 26 or 27 BIAs, business improvement areas.
I have my assistant looking into those,
Yeah.
their contact information and everything right now.
There's a ton of them in Calgary, I'm sure.
Yeah, we looked at it last time on our last calls.
So exactly. And so I told you that when I started my coaching practice, now it's 8 years ago, the very first thing I did was I called the Canada BIA. Canada's a suburb in the west end of Ottawa. I told you that. Very tech centric. They've got 20 or 30,000 tech workers in that suburb. And all those tech guys seem to be interested in real estate, because they're getting pushed out by the time they're 40 or 45. And so I asked permission to put some sponsorship in there, and they allowed me to do it. It's really an ad, and they didn't charge me very much. And I found that was a fantastic source of leads, both for investors, people, tech guys wanted to buy property, they like it. It's simpler than building a Facebook platform or, you know, Amazon. I mean, it's a lot simpler than that. So they like the idea of buying, you know, a duplex or a townhouse or something like that, and having a little bit of investment property. So for investment clients, that's buyer clients, and that's pretty successful. And for just a regular person who you know, is thinking about, gee, what am I going to do? You know, my pension plan looks pretty miserable, and I'm going to be eating cat food when I'm 65 or 70. So that worked. And then the other one that I did, I don't know if I ever told you this, I started to run ads, don't sell your house.
You did mention that, yeah.
Yeah.
The door hangers and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
the door hangers and things like that. So there's some really, really simple things that you can do. Door hangers can be quite expensive. You know, they could be 40 cents to print if they're nice, and it could be another, you know, I don't know what it costs now for Canada Post to deliver them. Maybe it's 30 or 40 cents. I don't know, but it could be, you know, close to $1 for each of them. And if you wanted to send out 5,000 of them, that's $5,000. So instead of that, what a lot of my clients are doing now is they're just planting lawn signs in neighborhoods, with a message that is different, because you know you can do a lawn sign, stick it in the snowbank or stick it in the ground somewhere, and you can probably reach, you know, 5,000 people in a day or two as they drive by, right? And so some of my clients have you know, don't sell your house on one side and then some more information on the other side. You know, and people do call from those things, you know, as long as the message is a little bit different.
Right.
Um,
No, those like the bandit signs like you put on the boulevards, or they
those are the bandit
fast
signs,
information?
brother. Yeah, those are the bandit signs. And I do for myself, I do ask clients once I have you know, their permission. Sometimes people will let me put a lawn sign, or one of my guys will put a lawn sign on a house. You know, don't sell this house, and people laugh. What the hell kind of realtor are you? But then they call and they say, what do you mean don't sell this house? You know, on the other side it says buy another one. That's an investment property, and all kinds of other things. You can get quite creative with lawn signs, so you can tell a really good story. Something else too that we've had success with, and this is, I think this might be unique to my group. We do open houses after we sell a property.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
I think I did. And
Yeah.
and you know, all the neighbors, you know, we planned a, you know, open house. This house has been sold, open house. All the neighbors are nosy. They come in and they want to know, what did you get for it, and how long did it take to sell? In Ottawa right now, if we take longer than 3 or 4 days to sell a house, that's a long time.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, it's crazy. Toronto is crazy. Ottawa's crazy, and I don't know. I can't even explain it. So there's some really, really simple things that you can do. What else have you been trying?
I've been just reaching back out to my network and talking to people that I've had at events, and kind of people that have helped me out with this and that. And one in particular, I've got a few leads from. She's been doing her own marketing for a while, and it's more investor-based marketing. So she talks to a prospect, she realizes she can't do an investor deal, she sends them to me. So that's been working out. I did a listing presentation, and poor girl. The unit across the way sold for $15K, then less than what she wanted. I said, well, that's in the building, that's the market right now, so you'd probably be well served to wait a couple of months.
So something else that I do when business is a bit slow. Right now, I don't have to do anything. That just the market is wild. But when the market's a little bit slower, I do quite a few webinars, as you know, and you know, people love free webinars. When was the last time you did one?
September or early October.
And how was the turnout?
I think it was about 10 or 15.
Okay. And how did it go?
It was all right. It's more about creating content for the inner circle, and that's sort of the angle is the inner circle.
Right.
And we just haven't, due to all this other things going on, been able to put it together. I don't like to half-ass it, right? I like to do
No, you should not do a half-ass webinar is a negative marketing.
Right. So that's why I kind of held off on it, and I'm having a conversation with the gentleman tomorrow he was in BC flipping mobile homes. I helped connect him to some money, and I'm going to get a referral fee out of it. That he's going to help me host them, because I was going to do 2 a month, and then
Oh,
have
that's
the
a lot. That's a lot.
members calls in the middle. Yeah, all for intake, and then have one be more Q&A, so I don't have to produce a full slide deck, or have a guest speaker,
Right.
and then I'll do the teaching on the other one, and then the weeks in the middle are our internal members calls for the inner circle, which are just for him. And he's going to facilitate one of the members calls so that I can be either presenting on somebody else's group or something like that. That's one of the plans moving forward.
So you might do 4 webinars a year though that are just for anybody out there who wants to find out what Tim knows and what Tim is doing and what Tim can contribute.
And those are all public. Yeah, those are all public, other than the members.
But one of the things that I found with I do lots of Zoom webinars. I'm doing less of them now because there's no more. I have no more bandwidth at all. So, and our team they're all working flat out. So, right now I'm the worst example of marketing you could imagine. But one of the things that I will do when I do a webinar, again, when the market turns, and it will slow down. I mean, if people think that we're going to get 20% price increases a year forever in Ottawa, we are not. That is not going to happen. And most people are assuming it'll go on forever, but it won't. So when it slows down, I'll do more webinars. I like doing them. And it's for those webinars that I will actually, again, borrow other people's email addresses by sponsoring a newsletter. So I can get it in, because my newsletter list, I do have 16,000 people on my email list, but, I pretty much tap that out. I do communicate with them, but, it's the same 16,000 people. I mean, I probably add 1,000 people a year, but still it is 95% of them have heard from me over and over again. And, the kind of, how, you can be mother deaf or father deaf, you could be realtor deaf too, or even coach deaf. So I do want to get out there. And what I do is it's a free webinar, but I make people sign up on Eventbrite. I don't know if you use Eventbrite for your webinars, but you want to know who's coming on, and you make them actually take that extra step. If it's free to use Eventbrite, as if your event is free.
Yeah, we use Eventbrite and Meetup that are signups there, which goes to a landing page.
Perfect.
And we capture all the information.
Now you're way ahead of me, I'm sure. But for me, I just do really simple, cheap stuff. Eventbrite's free. They sign up there. They get a ticket. But the Eventbrite ticket does not include the Zoom link, because you probably could connect Eventbrite and Zoom. Possibly, I would suspect you could now, but at least when I did them last year, I was not able to. So it means that if I get 20 signups or 50 signups for a webinar, I do have to send them, by email.
Yep.
But
that's what we do.
I like doing that, Tim. So the other thing that I'm sure you guys are doing, I just want to make sure, okay, if I'm repeating stuff that you already know, I apologize. But the other thing that is really important, what you said earlier, is not to let 10 days go by before you answer an email.
Yeah.
So all of your people, all 9 of them, including you, I give my clients a kind of a window in which I will answer their emails or their text. I'll either answer you the same day or the next day. Some realtors are better, much better. They can do 5-minute response time. I cannot do that, but I do give everybody a commitment to the best of my ability. It's not 100%, but it's close to 100% that you will hear back from me the same day or the next day. And
we do that with listings. It's even part of a guarantee. If we miss 24 hours, if somebody from our team doesn't get back to them, we'll pay them on closing, not upfront.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, we're serious about that. We're very serious about the response time.
Okay.
So they want to know what's going on with the listing.
Yeah. So I mean, you've got what you're doing, I think, is really good, and I suspect that you'll be able to, you'll be able to do really well. Did you ever see my 25 reasons why you should hire us?
No, I don't think so.
Can you read it? Okay.
Yeah, I can see that there. Just was skimming over it to see if that's something. Yeah, no, that wasn't in your.
I don't think I've shown you this yet. So I'm going to send you this. I mean, whether you need it or not, I think you might. You know, these are all of my group. It's only 4 people have this. And so every time, whether we're representing a buyer or a seller, an investor, listing or buyer, doesn't matter, we give them this. Number one, we're relentless in representing clients and sticking with deals until completion. This is especially important with investors, because investor deals, I mean, just look at the steps you're going through to close your day home deal, right?
Oh my goodness, yeah,
So you understand how important that is to investors. We provide creative strategies for deal making and bridging price gaps. If I get the time in the next year, I am going to do something really, really useful, I think, for realtors and deal makers of all sorts, which is I have some really cool techniques on how to bring parties together that might be, you know, new, at least new to a lot of people. So how do you, you know, as you know, realtors are supposed to represent their clients as best they can. And if they're in multiple representation, they're not supposed to give advice on price and terms to either party. That is what at least the Ontario rules say. And I don't agree with that.
It's the same here. Yeah, you have to be neutral if you're double ending it.
But I don't agree with that. I think the job of a realtor is to have a little bit of wisdom and not to be just a mailbox. So if I'm in multiple representation, which I prefer not to be honest, but if I am multiple representation, I tell both parties, I feel my job is, if I see that there's the potential for a deal, is to bring those 2 parties together and make both parties as happy as possible.
Yeah, like a mediator. I agree with that too. Having to be totally impartial, I think it impedes that process. So I'm on the same page as you there.
Now, you can't tell your regulator that, because you'll,
oh Jesus, no.
Jesus, they'll be all over you or me. And we've just recorded it, so we're both guilty. I think that's really important, to be a deal maker as opposed to just being a mailbox. And something that is number 3 on this list is, again, very important to many of my clients who are developers, builders, investors, that we actually know something about how to get through the zoning process.
As a matter of fact, Paul and I have got a potential prospect for the development management consulting right now to get us an RPR.
Yeah,
because that's a hell of a thing. If people don't know what they're doing there, that's a massive.
Say that again, please.
I said, if people don't know what they're doing there, that's a massive skill. Development management.
Yeah, and you know, I think I'm just adding it. Thanks. I think I should have put that in on my own. But I think that most realtors, Tim, not you and not me, and I'm not just saying because you're on the call, but the 2 of us, we understand it's no longer good enough just to be, you know, a handsome dude or a beautiful young woman and say you should list with me because I drive a BMW.
No, of course
that is a typical value proposition of most realtors. Hey, what do you think of my suit? What do you think of my BMW? That is pretty much the limit of most realtors' pitches. Okay, number 4, we bring years of combined experience. We can show you how to add value and animate your new acquisition. Obviously, that's addressed to an investor or to just an ordinary buyer.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a way they can afford a place that's swing above their class.
And you know, I don't know what the prices are like right now in Calgary. I guess are they dropping?
No, not anymore. You know, everything's basically corrected as far as I see it. It's going to correct. I mean, land has an intrinsic value; it doesn't ever go down. So we've gone down as low as we can. We have a 3% vacancy in Calgary still.
Oh, that's fantastic. All right. So number 5, we're able to do really good CMAs, and not just for, you know, a house, a bungalow where you've got 4 other bungalows within 3 or 4 blocks that have sold in the last 6 months. We're able to do really complicated CMAs. So if you have, like, I just did one for a spa, you know, and that was really complicated. So again, that's very useful. As you know, I believe in doing a CMA before every appraisal. Every appraisal. Let's see what else we do. We offer creative financing strategies. Well, you would do that too.
Well, I do that a lot. Yeah.
I'm sure you do. We do. We have experience with joint venture investing and other co-ventures. I think that's important, so you understand that kind of partnership and, you know, passive investing and active partnerships. We help people add differentiated value to the property. I think, again, that's really important. What can you do with your home within the existing zoning bylaws to make it more useful? Today, one of the things that we're doing a lot of, believe it or not, is I have a client based in Kingston, Ontario, who produces these beautiful little backyard mini offices. They're so small; they're only 9.5 feet wide by 11.5 feet long. With a, think about
He was
it.
from the ROI group, right?
Yeah, it's called Ferris, Build with Ferris,
Yeah.
and you would be amazed at how many of my clients, just ordinary folks who have a house, who would never dream of having an in-home apartment because they just don't think it's the right thing for them personally and their family. But they'll buy one of those Ferris homes, plunk it in their backyard, and that's now their work from home office. They may not have room in there in the house, and they just do that. You don't even need a building permit for something that size.
Yeah, because it's a chattel. It's not a fixed.
I think that's a good way of putting it. So we do quite a bit with that. Obviously, I'm sure you have professional home staging people that you can work with.
Absolutely, yeah.
Something else you may not do is we also do, believe it or not, we also do office staging.
Oh, okay.
So if we're selling like an office condo or we're leasing an office space, we'll actually stage it. We have home stagers here who basically I've trained them to come in and stage office space, and it makes a huge difference if people can sort of see themselves there.
I bet it does. Never thought about that. We don't really do commercial in that sense, like leasing or anything. We just
Probably not, but anyway, it's in that.
But that's an incredible idea, though. I mean, it's going to help just the same.
Yeah, but if people can't see, you know, if you go into a typical office building, I mean, it's really pretty.
It's just four walls, great paint.
Yeah, so we actually stage it. It's hilarious, but it works. Having experience solving legal issues and title issues is really important. I'm sure you've had all kinds of issues. One of my young clients, he was 29, auto mechanic, bought a property, and it turned out the property was landlocked. He had no legal access to a road, which I found out when I was helping this young guy. I was coaching him and helping him buy a property. It was a farmhouse with a basement apartment and had not one, not two, but three outbuildings, one of which was fully fit up as an auto mechanic shop. So he really wanted the property, and the couple was divorcing. Oh my gosh, we raped them. You know, I only represented the buyer, so it didn't represent the seller, and we took advantage of them. We got at least $100,000 worth of chattels, the hoists, the compressors, everything, the snow plow, and so Dan bought the property for $403,000. It was an absolute steal, but it had a problem that even the selling realtor didn't know, which was that it was landlocked. And so
right, meant for the road. That was what he was.
Yeah, it was. It didn't connect to the road, so we got a big price abatement for that. I mean, the realtor was incredibly stupid. I mean, she was a nice person, but as a realtor, she was not. She didn't do her homework. So right at the last minute when we did the title search, well, what the hell? There's no legal access here. We got like a $30,000 price abatement, but we covered it with title insurance. Right? Yep. So knowing that sort of stuff, but you have to explain that to people, right? You have to be able to tell them, because most people think realtors don't do anything.
Yeah, you got to describe the value to them.
Yep, you've got to say to them. One of the things that I'm really good at is keeping really good files. You know, I mean, let's see. I bet you I've got you open here somewhere. Yeah, here's Tim. So Tim, I've got admin file, agenda, animation ideas. Properties that you're looking at, Burning Rock Solutions, your business model, you got a bunch of them. You're involved with co-coaching, financing, you've got some stuff for lease, for sale, for licensing, franchising, licensing, financial statements, human resources, introductions, people I've introduced you to. Oh, there's a few in there. Or people you've introduced me to, like Mike Wolf, right?
Yep.
Market research, mid-month report, reading, slide decks, spreadsheets, tech packages, work in process, and YouTube. So just speaking for myself, Tim, I could probably handle anywhere from 6 to 10 deals at a time. But if I didn't have really good files, there's no way.
Yeah, the organization is absolutely key. I mean, I was an engineer for 12 years, so that's how I work as well. I've got a file for everyone. I've got a CRM that we use for real estate. So when I open up a new prospect meeting, it all goes right in there. I can see it. If I happen to get hit by a meteor, everyone else can go see it. The process continues.
Yeah, you're very well organized. So I have 16,000 people on my newsletter list. And quite often, if people give me a property, I just got a hotel to sell. And I said, you don't even have to give me a listing. The guy calls me up. He's getting older. He wants to retire. He's based out of New York. But the hotel's in Ontario. So I'm armed and dangerous. I'm licensed in Ontario. And I said,
Right.
I can sell it for you. Just give me the go ahead. So he calls me up about 2 weeks ago. And he said, yeah, I'm willing to let it go. It's not that expensive. It's only about $3.3 million. So it's a small hotel. It's a boutique hotel. And so I have, three guys who are, very wealthy, and they really like what they do is they reposition hotels. I've told you about this. They take them out of the hotel market, they convert them all to microsuites, and they put them in some of them will stay in the short-term rental market, but on Airbnb.
Yep.
Some of them will go in the medium-term rental market, and some in the long-term rental market. So they'll take the hotel and they'll sack all the staff. I'm sorry to say, and they'll drop their operating costs from this to this and convert them to short, medium, and long-term rentals. So it took. I emailed it to three guys that I know, and I got 2 offers. So I didn't even bother with a listing. So when you get a big enough group together, which I'm sure you will do, you'll be in a position, and you may already be there, Tim. You'll be in a position where you can just sell within your network.
Sorry, Bruce. Zoom crashed there for just a second, but I think that you said you sent it out to 3 guys, and 1 guy sounds like they bit.
So I sent it out to 3 of my clients, and I got 2 offers, and it'll close in February. So when you get a big enough group together, which you will do, absolutely, I'm sure of that, Tim. You have the capability of certainly exceeding me, no doubt about it. You're young and smarter than I ever was at your age, so I didn't even need a list. I said to my client in New York, lives 20. He has a beautiful house 25 minutes from Wall Street, and he has his own single-family home.
Holy cow.
I can't imagine what that thing is worth, but
well over the years.
He works for Goldman Sachs, and he makes about $13 million US a year. So $3.3 million Canadian dollars, Canadian pesos, is still a lot of money to you and me, but
It's peanuts to him.
It's not very much. But he's 65 now, and he's gonna retire from Goldman Sachs at 70, which I think is a wise thing to do. And he's just, he's going to narrow his focus. So
I bet he's worked 80 hours a week for 40 years.
Oh my God, those guys work all the time. I mean, they'll be working Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if Christmas Day, by the afternoon, they open their presents in the morning, he's probably back at work Christmas afternoon. So, but once you get to, 10,000 names on your newsletter list, or 16,000 like me, and like I said, you will be it wouldn't surprise me if I could check back in 40 years if you had 120,000 people, somebody with your skills, you will trade within that group. You will hardly ever have to go outside. And then you have some publications, I've got things like Real Estate Investing Made Easy, business model illustrations and stuff like that. I mean, I make maybe $200 a month on Amazon for my book sales, but I send somebody a book, one of my handbooks, which are worth, less than $10 on Amazon. And I get listings, from that, and lots of buyers. I have a couple of blogs. And you have a blog too, do you not, Tim?
Yep.
I thought so. We've got quite a good social media presence, and I think that's useful. It's not that big. I have about 4,000 followers on Twitter. I think 9,000 or 10,000 on LinkedIn, probably 2,000 or 3,000 on Facebook. a few hundred on Instagram. So I'm not that big. But you know, the one thing that has really helped me is my YouTube channel.
I'm best on video. I'm a good writer, but finding the time to sit down and write sometimes is difficult. So one of the things I'm talking about with Amy, that's my girlfriend, she basically runs the day home business, and as really expands, that's going to be kind of her full-time gig. But she helps me out with graphics and things because that's her trade, is graphic and web stuff. So I'm going to have another YouTube channel that's going to be more of a personal brand, not specifically to my Phoenix company. That's going to be pushed more to generate realtor related stuff and talk about some other new things. I'm going to call it The Real Deal, which translates to business and real estate well.
Yep. Keep going.
And talk about that. So I'm going to have another YouTube channel. So specifically Phoenix related stuff was one thing. That's the one I built and all my recorded events and so on. And then the new one is going to be just me, like me as a real estate investment, business, real estate coach and realtor, right? There's some realtor branded stuff. The pain in the ass about the realtor stuff is, I'm sure it's the same in Ontario, is you have to have it branded and the brokerage and all this criteria. You got to be really boxed in.
Yep.
But those ones I can send over to Sergey and his team, and his assistant will do all of that. I can just record them, upload them, and they'll put all the compliance crap on there, and then I can post them.
So I think that's great, Tim. I agree with that. So one of the things, by the way, I've been told not to sit as much as I've been sitting during the pandemic. So every once in a while, if you see me stand up, that's why.
Oh, that's fine.
I mean, I have been doing way too much sitting. I put on about 10 or 12 pounds. I've always been relatively fit throughout my life. And so that's not good at any age, and certainly not at 69, right? So I apologize if I bounce up and down a little bit, but I need to get up.
Oh, no worries. I get up and stretch and do jumping jacks and consciously get out of the desk as well. You got to do it. You just have to.
So one of the things I know about you from that presentation you did on Little Steps Academy is you are really a good presenter. Like that presentation was one of the best. And have you ever done any voiceover work?
How do you mean?
So one of the things that I do a lot of, and you may have seen them.
Oh, you mean explainer videos over top?
Yeah, you've seen some of mine, eh?
Yeah, they're in the course there with like.
Yeah. So I have this recorder on my computer here, and I'm not as photogenic as you are. So a lot of my videos I just have a slide deck, and then I do a voiceover video. So I have a good voice for radio, right? But I have the perfect face for radio too. I mean, it helps to be young. And by the way, if you're a young female, it really helps. But
I don't have that option.
they're killing it on I'll get 1,000 views on YouTube. I think that's a runaway smash hit for Firestone. But some of the young women I coach who are very attractive, they'll do something, they'll get 10,000 views. I mean, they will. So anyway, so the voiceover videos are very powerful. You are very photogenic and you're camera friendly as well. That presentation you did for the ROI group was fantastic. So you can do them, and you can do them. The optimal video, if it's a promotional video or a short learning video, is around 4 to 6 minutes. A lot of people will tell you it should be 2 minutes or less. That is not accurate. People will do, how to, they'll do
they'll watch longer.
They'll do 4 to 6 minutes, right? And then for people that I coach, people like you, if I have an hour and a half on how to do proper leasing, they will watch every single minute of it because they're professional people and they need to know every detail. They can't miss something, okay? So you can go an hour and a half if you have to on a learning video, but on something that's a little bit simpler, like if you were explaining, what is a cap rate? That could be a 40-minute video, but it could also be a 4 or 5 or 6 minute video, right? I know
you go over the high level. What about whiteboards? Because that's what I tend to like to do is the energy's a little different. Is I'll get my whiteboard and I'll put the chicken scratch up there and kind of walk through it and like, just like as if I was teaching in person. I do the flip chart with the big markers if I'm on stage, but
Right.
I just have my whiteboard and I write the stuff on there and go through the concept, and they tend to be about that long, Bruce, about 3 to 6 minutes, depending on.
Those are that is great. Okay, so
But I like the spreadsheet as well, because if you're going over something that's math related,
Yep.
they can see the math,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
It's easier
No,
to do that.
I've done spreadsheet voiceover videos that that have hundreds and hundreds of views, and people watch it beginning to end, even if it's 20, 30 minutes long, because they want to learn that. They know that today, if you're going to do almost any kind of work, you have to have a decent knowledge of how to use the spreadsheet, and a lot of people don't know that. All right, I can sit down again now. All right, let's keep going. Find the camera on yours truly. All right, so you can do some voiceover videos. This one is maybe not too relevant to you, but I'll explain it anyway. We're one of the few Ottawa-based commercial brokerages who actually are on MLS. Most of the commercial guys in Ottawa are not part of the Ottawa Real Estate Board. Do you know why?
I think you mentioned this before, but it's not like that here. I mean, all the big players, they're all part of brokerages.
Okay, so that's probably not relevant to you. But the reason that they don't is they want to double end everything in Ottawa. So they don't share information. So if I'm trying to sell an office building and I call up one of the brokerages in Ottawa, like Collier, CBRE, Barnaky, Metro Suburban, Prime Corp, whatever, they say, oh, I can't find the information. Sorry, and they hang up on you. They're just trying. They're not doing a great service to their clients. So when I'm doing a presentation, I'm trying to get a listing, say for, to sell an office building or shopping plaza or something like that. I'll tell the client, listen, have you had a presentation from Colliers or CBRE or any of these other guys? Yes. And did you ask them if they're members of the board? No. Why is that important? And I'll tell them why. And yeah, and they're hosing you, and they're not providing good service to you. Something else, we use this a lot. Do you want fries with that? And that's the famous McDonald's question, right? So we ask, and you probably should too, your 9 people should always ask if you're helping somebody buy a house or sell a house, you should say, is there anything else we can help you with? Do you have a business? Do you need more office space? Do you need retail space? And you'll be amazed at how many times we do that. And somebody says, oh, yeah, I've got a little plaza. I've been thinking about selling it. So if you don't ask, they won't tell you that. They'll just identify you and your team, your 9 folks, as residential realtors. They won't think of you. So if you do nothing else, if a little plaza in Calgary comes up for sale, why can't you learn how to sell that?
Yeah. Oh, you're right. Absolutely.
So
that's part of my presentation is I let people know I've done everything from development.
Yeah. Well, for sure you could do that. So should train all of your guys, even if they don't know anything about office leasing or office sales or industrial leasing or industrial sales or building sales.
They can refer it to me and we'll split commission.
Yeah, exactly. Just listen, but ask. I come from the commercial background, and my business partner, Ralph Shaw, taught me to ask, do you want fries with that? To ask people for residential, because they don't think of me as a residential guy, because pretty much I'm not. So I got used to it. I said, Ralph, you're right. And so I would ask, is there anything else we can help you with? Well, I was thinking about selling my house, but you really don't sell any houses, do you? Well, actually, I have 3 realtors who focus on that. Can we help you with that? And some of these houses, are pretty expensive. They could be $1 and $2 and $3 million houses. That's about it in Ottawa. We don't get the numbers like Toronto, but even for a $1 million house, there's a significant commission there.
That's right.
So I learned that from Ralph. He said, Bruce, ask, and I started to ask, and lo and behold, we started to get residential listings. I'm terrible at house sales, so I don't do any of that, but my team does. And so we use a team approach. We're really good with spreadsheets. So we found not just with investors, but you know, even with, you know, like some of my former students, Tim, who are buying their first home, helping them with a spreadsheet showing them how the mortgage is calculated, and all that can really help. And I'm just going to put in here something I didn't add. We do PAN reports. You know what those are, right?
Yep.
And we're also into the new PIN thing. I don't know if you've come across that yet.
It's in the code coaching course, yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right. So we do PAN reports, property animation and analysis reports, not just for residential, but commercial too. And new PIN is the new era financial plan that I came up with after interviewing so-called 3 top financial planners in Ottawa, finding that they were selling horse manure. So I came up with my own.
I'm creating the investment fund is to get people the heck out of there.
I can't wait to see that, man. We have access to some of the best real estate legal experts and intros to renovators, contractors, surveyors,
the whole power team. Yeah,
mortgage brokers. Yeah, I know you know all this stuff. All right, the introductions are really important, and I should have had that in there. And I think this last one is really important. We really focus on trust. And if one of our clients, if one of my team members were to betray a confidence or betray a client, you know, that's a pretty serious thing. So trust is really important, and we emphasize that. Anyway, that's enough of that. So you probably know almost all of those things. All right, let's go back to your.
So the main question I had there, which I don't feel we totally touched on, was leverage connection. So what I mean by that is not competitive overlap people. Maybe there's something I'm missing. I mean, obviously mortgage brokers are a good one, and commercial realtors that don't do residential, like you said, that could be a good one. Or the other way, residential realtors that don't do commercial. There's that crossover, which is great. Is there anybody else in the business community that you can think of that could be a good leverage connection? Like, hey, we've got a real estate license now. I'm in the business in that way as well.
Are you talking about a referral network?
Yeah, a referral source. So as an example, obviously mortgage brokers love realtors because we're the front end of the spear, right?
Yeah.
We the client and we refer them, right? And I have many of those I work with. And I'm letting them know that I can help people sell if they got a refinance request and they can't do it, they really got to sell. Starting to build those bridges. But if there's anyone else, maybe that's not obvious.
Let's work on that for a little bit, because you're helping me too make this a little better. So we have access to some of the best real estate legal experts, and we can intro clients. So here's the thing that has been bugging me for a while. I am a huge source of leads for all of these people, but the number of leads that I get back from them is actually pretty small.
Right.
It might be very small. So let's talk about all of the people that you and I refer clients to, and then those are the people who should be referring people back to us. I don't do a good job at that, and I should do better. So let's work on that for a few minutes. So you and I are introducing our clients to lawyers, renovators, contractors, surveyors, mortgage brokers,
appraisers, all those people.
Well, let's keep going. Appraisers. Who else?
Property surveyors on there. Okay, property reports.
Property managers. Lenders.
Yeah, the lenders, even the bank.
Oh, what's that?
Even the bank sometimes.
Yeah, bankers.
Bankers.
Sure, I do that all the time. Who else?
Insurance brokers.
Oh, that's a good one. As I'm typing out this list, I'm getting mad. Because, you know, I'm a huge source of leads. When was the last time a friggin' insurance broker, called me up and said, hey, Bruce, I've got this client, he's buying 10 more properties. You ought to talk to him. So that's on me, though. right? I should be doing more of that. So
We need to put the infrastructure together to make it easy for them to do it.
exactly, exactly. And I'm sure you'll do that, but I need to do a better job. So let's just keep thinking. Lawyers, accountants, bankers, lenders, renovators, contractors,
Divorce lawyers,
trade.
mediators.
I'm not putting them down. That I don't need. That's too negative. Obviously, the trades, property managers. I don't know if there's anything else.
Planners, city planners.
Oh, that's a good one. I do that.
If you can get them on your side, they're always kind of an adversary, but
Yeah,
still.
yeah, but I'm going to put in private sector planners too, because we do that all the time.
And the communities, like the city community
Associations
associations. Yeah, that's the word I was thinking of.
and
The people
business
you have to speak with to talk about
improvement areas. Yeah, we do that too.
BIAs. Yeah.
Yeah, BIAs. So in terms of setting up a referral network, these people should be referring back to us. And I'm sure there's many, 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 many more that we're just not, you know, I mean, obviously, you know, like, I'll just put down painters, landscapers, you know.
Garage door guys. This goes on and on.
Yeah, landscapers, yeah. Suppliers of all sorts. All right, that's enough. But I do think you're on the right track there. That's something that if you can make it easier for them to refer people to you, because it should be a two-way street. It is not. Like, when was the last time a home inspector called you up and say, Tim, I have to do a home inspection for this guy, and he's bought 10 properties in the last 2 years. You should talk to him. When was the last time you got that call?
Never happened.
Never.
The boiler guy in Brooks actually referred a couple other buildings he knew that were distressed, but I said, thank you so much. At the moment, I'm not in the market for another building there. But that's the most unsolicited recent referral from a guy like that.
Yep. All right. Okay, I'll send you this afterwards. All right, where are we going next?
So course design. You had mentioned that you had an outline for a course.
Yeah, I have
that. If you could send that to me, that'd be great.
Well, let's look at it together. I did
Sure.
open it up before we started.
Yeah, the reason for this is just like you have your co-coaching program, you sell for $1,000 or whatever. I need to have this. I need to do my own version of the real estate basics, so I can sell that for $1,000. And I can do that on other seminars, speak to sell, and put on my website and put some ads towards it, that kind of thing.
Yep.
Because it also funnels coaching, and it's a commodity now, like a book, right? You can sell your book or give it away.
Yep.
I can do that with a course. I just have to just camera through it through the December. I just need to absolutely.
So my course description. This is one I gave earlier this year. It was called the
Pivot course. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's my gigpreneur course, and I had 71 or 72 people sign up for it. So that's pretty good. And what I'm going to do, Tim, is I've got all of this recorded. As you know, it's all on YouTube unlisted. And as soon as I get time, and when that is, I don't know. And that's on me. I could sell a lot of these courses, but not the way it is now. I mean, I could give this course again live, no problem at all with that. And I'd probably get another 70 signups. You know, and
But it's still a workshop format. It's not.
It's still 70 people on Zoom, and I have to do the lectures and blah blah blah.
Yeah, and I do that too, and it's not leveraged. So yeah,
so there's zero leverage. So what I'm going to tell you, I'm going to show you what I've done here. This is my course description for Pivot, and you've seen my stupid long ninja course description, which is multiple stories high. So what I'm going to do though is I'm going to turn this course description into a workshop booklet, or a workbook is a better way to describe it. It's going to be a workbook. So now that I have all of the lectures and all of the material and all of the slide decks, I can put the course description into its own handbook, and that I can sell for $200 or whatever 1,000 times over.
Yep.
All right. But just having a laundry list, which is what I have for the Ninja course, which is stupidly long, and for Pivot is not good enough. It is not. But I will turn it into a booklet, and I'll show it to you when I've done it. Pivot, turn yourself into a gigpreneur, start your own business in just 3 months with practically no money down. You identify the course instructor, and then there's an online version, I guess, of this course description. Then I had, what I do to sell these courses is I do a webinar.
Yep.
And those webinars, I think, are public. So I think this one here is public. Anybody can look at it. It's probably had a few hundred views. Then the course video. So Pivot Class 1 was Jamie Montero, a young woman who started a company called Purdy Paws. It's cat and dog grooming, and she's really successful. It's mobile cat and dog grooming, and she has some permanent locations. Class 2 was Christian Spilfogel, a brilliant real estate investor. How I transitioned from tech to real estate, and he was very successful with it. Class number 3 was Empire Deck and Fence. This is a former student of mine, Siavash Naruzian, did a fantastic lecture on how he started a deck and fence business, not knowing anything about deck and fences. That does $3 million a year and makes him $500,000 bucks. He started with zero money.
Wow.
He started in my class. Pivot Class 4 was, this is another former student of mine, Marvel Comics and Dinosaur Comics writer Ryan North. He's internationally famous. I mean, he did back in the early days of Kickstarter, he did he wanted to raise $20,000 for one of his publishing projects, and he failed to raise 20 grand. Instead, he raised 520,000 US dollars for it. He went over, you know, he was trying to raise 20 grand. He raised.
That's the record then.
And at the time, it was the highest ever funded publishing project on Kickstarter. There have been others that have surpassed it since, but he raised 520,000 US dollars in 30 days for his project. It was awesome. So he came. He was a guest lecturer in the Pivot class. Class 5 was Jen Walton, who runs a company called Short and Sweet B&B. She was a former student of mine who was living in like a mini storage locker. She was completely broke. And I say she went from 0 to 150 Airbnb managed properties in just 3 years. I think it's actually 250. And you know, now she's making $300,000 or $400,000 a year. This is a wonderful story. Linda Gary Interiors, how she got into the blinds business. She has her own little business. She sells blinds and curtains, you know, to developers and to homeowners. She makes $125,000 to $150,000 a year for 30.
I believe it. Those things are highway robbery. I don't know why a blind costs as much as it does.
This was probably the least successful one because most of the students weren't really interested in tech. But this is another former student of mine, Dan Cardamore, who is an absolutely brilliant tech entrepreneur. His first company after he graduated from studying with me, it's of course all because of me, he sold for 13 million US dollars and he owned 100% of it. And then he started another one, it's called Noibu, and he talked about it. I loved it, but I think it was a fail from the point of view of the students. This one was huge.
Yeah, that's in your study.
Class number 9 was David Perry, because this is one that maybe actually, I'll send you this afterwards. Maybe you should, you know, actually look at, because I know you're trying to recruit some people. The most important decision, other than the decision to start any business, is who you have on the bus with you.
I totally agree. So that's why that's on my list here.
Yeah, so I'll send you this one here. And David Perry is the top, probably one of the top 2 or 3 recruiters in North America. And the fact that he came and did a pivot lecture, I was blown away by that. You know, he does like chief technology officer for, you know, Microsoft. I mean, you know, which he gets, you know, $750,000 US dollars for that. You know,
I think he was on your RI group as well.
I think he might have been. Anyway, I'll send you that.
I made some notes on that, but that'd be great.
And then, unfortunately, Erica Godwin, another student of mine, she during the pivot course, her mom passed away, so she wasn't able to do the lecture. So after the course was actually over, she came back and she gave a lecture, which was fantastic. She has a company called barketing.co. Barketing is just marketing for, you know, dog walkers and you know, pet stores, etc. And it's been a phenomenal success, and she's having great. And then you might recognize this guy. I was so impressed with what you did. I just put it in as a bonus. Oh, and here's one I did that I thought I'd put in as a bonus as well. And then there's the course schedule down here. And then I tell a little bit of a story. There's a few assignments here. Topics covered in this course, more about Prof. Bruce, more about the lecturer, some more readings that I want you to do. I guess I put them in a Dropbox link. So, and then there's a bibliography and then some additional readings. Oh gosh, it goes on forever.
Do you have the outline for the co-coaching course?
I have that. Yes, I have the whole ninja thing.
If you could send me that, I know you say it's 10 miles long, but I obviously won't have that much stuff in it. But
no,
I think
I'm going to send you this one, and I'll send you the other one. Okay.
That'd be awesome.
And then this is Siavash. I said thank you. I had a couple of sponsors for the course. FanSafe sponsored it, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, that's enough. So what if you can just imagine how it's very simple to turn that from just a laundry list, which is not that interesting, I mean, really, into something that would be much more interesting. I can go to those slide decks and just take pictures from the slide decks. I can just put some of the slides in there, you know, so I could say, Siavash Naruzian, Empire Deck and Fence, and this is, he started here, and then this happened, and this happened. For more, go and see this video, right? So I can turn this from a, you know, whatever, an 11-page course description, which is too long, but that's what it is, into a 120 to 140 page, you know, booklet, workbook, and leaving room for the assignment. So, you know, if I've got a spreadsheet, put the spreadsheet in there, and then put your answers in there. You can actually, you know, put it in. And so that is easy to do. And then I'll feel more comfortable about saying, hey, listen, I've got this great start your own business in, you know, 3 months or less. It's $195 plus HST. You know, I'll probably get 500 to 1,000 people who will do it, but I just don't feel comfortable sending it out like that.
So I wanted to run this by you. I was talking with Amy in regards to this course that I think my hesitation was because I do one-on-one custom stuff, that a little resistant of not having enough value in there. Right. And I think I've zeroed in on the target market is rather than create a real estate business owner, which is what my one-on-one coaching does, that's the outcome for them is they've got the skills and eventually they don't need me and they go run off and do it on their own forever. Right. That this course, which would be, you know, retail $19.97, $99, $1,000 on sale, on a speak to sales arrangement or promo discounted on seasonal sales and so on, that the outcome really should be that they learn how to do all three strategies: rent to own, release option, rental, properly animated, and then the, you know, value add model. So I hate to use the term, but how to flip a house without making mistakes, right? And they can do that once or twice a year, right? That gives them the skills to not screw it up, right? Without my direct interaction, that they'll learn that. They won't make a mistake if they pick one of those three strategies. They build their team and a little extra bonus guidance for me, connect them to the right people, and they can go and do that. Because those people are going to maybe add one property to their portfolio every year, and they slowly build wealth the safe way. I think that's really the segment that I should be targeting there, because people that want to create an actual real estate business, that's the one-on-one model. And I think that's the segmentation that gets them started, teaches them the skills. And I can do that in 1,000.
Yeah, and I think that's fantastic. You know, I can tell you from lots of experience that much of the stuff that I coach on and I teach is too difficult for a lot of people. It is too difficult. It just is. You know, what I'm trying to do with the last few years of my career is I'm trying to educate a few people, you know, maybe 2,000 or 3,000, and that's it, to understand real estate and to some extent business, but certainly real estate investment at a elite level, at the very, very, very top level that is possible today. And, so if you get a typical person, he or she doesn't want that. What they want is they want you to tell them what to do. And if you've noticed, I don't tell you what to do. I give you the tools and the knowledge and hopefully the wisdom to make good decisions, but that's up to you. But that's not what a lot of people want. When I first started coaching, I had, didn't have many failures, but I did have some, because people said, well, oh no, I don't want that. I just want you to tell me what to do. But I would say to them, but I don't know what you should do. Like, what's right for you? What's your why? But if somebody says, look, I'd like to know how to do a lease to own, and there's a manual out there that Tim has written that says, okay, here's how you do a rent to own. That's fine. And it's 20 steps or 30 steps or whatever it is, right?
Yep.
And I'm fine with that. And probably if I were younger, I would build a team around me that would use the stuff that I know to do things, like that, to take the material that I've created and do a how-to, step-by-step how-to, how to buy a house like one of my daughters did and add a basement apartment, and every single step, how she financed it, how she hired her renovator and her contractor, and how she did the proper leasing and all that stuff. But that's important, and I think you are absolutely right. That is the direction I think you should go in, because that's where the mass market is.
Okay. What about hiring commission salespeople? I've got one guy that's overqualified, really like him. He's more of a manager, not so much a hunter-gatherer that can work part-time.
Right.
But so he's not the candidate I'm looking for right now. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm a bit envious if you can find 2 salespeople to work on commission who are any good.
They are out there. They're out there. A friend of mine is in.
I'm sure they are. I'm completely out of date on this, Tim. I have to admit. And the reason for that is I've been a sole practitioner now for 7 or 8 years, and I've gotten out of the hang of work. I mean, I do have the team of 4 realtors, but they're incredibly independent. Like, Nick Cripps, who works with me, for example, he's the best negotiator in our group, including me. He's fantastic. And I'll just say, look, Mary over here wants to sell, this is an example, wants to sell her mini storage business. And Nick knows how to, I'll have set the terms, like, look, we're going to ask 1.5 million. Here are about 4 or 5 groups that I think might be interested in it. But he certainly has the skills with Simon Case and Rick Bedard to do all the listing agreements, get them signed, put it on MLS, send it out to our own group of 16,000, and we really don't need to do that, and then handle everything. And I get 50% of the commission, right? And other than being a bit of a rainmaker, and doing some overall positioning, they do everything. Like, I won't even know until they give me a trade record to sign. Oh, we sold it. Oh, that's great. Awesome. What do we get? 1.5. Great. Okay. What's my half of it? Okay. I get $25,000. Yay. I signed that. Right. So that is that. But they are commission salespeople because they work on commission. Right. And they seem to like working with me. I found Nick through Rick Bedard. I found Rick Bedard because he's an old friend, and Nick had a pal by the name of Simon Case. So I've got these 3 guys who work with me in their 30s and 40s, they make each of them make 150,000 a year, around that, and it means I make the other half, right? And which is great. But other than being a rainmaker, I don't have to do anything. So, you know, I just got lucky with those 3 guys, but I'm not adding to any more because, you know, so I'm not really sure what these guys are going to do, these 2 salespeople. I did read that in your agenda.
It's prospecting. So the thing with
Yeah.
this is primarily for investors, right? This is to attract investors that want to invest in real estate passively. If they're large enough,
So,
they want a JV.
I don't think you're going to have. I could be wrong, but I don't think you're going to have a lot of success with that. What I would probably do is I'd probably reverse the model. I would probably have Tim doing the webinars and being the rainmaker, and the commission salespeople doing all of
The follow up.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
that works great for me. I have to tell you, if I had to do all the showings, all the listing agreements, all the agreements of purchase and sale and everything else, there's no way I could do 1 minute of coaching. No, I mean, I would have to fire every person I'm coaching, which I don't want to do because that's where the highest value is for me.
Well, definitely the highest value is for me to be doing the presenting and all that. That's the thing I'm the best at. And
yeah, so I think what
closing people, this is meant to be the model of if they find someone interested in real estate, they bring them to me and I'll close them and present to them.
yeah,
I need more help to bring the.
I do understand that, but I don't think they'll be able to do it.
There's a whole business of people that do this though. The
Do
whole
do they make any money at it?
Yeah, the exempt market world is full of these people. Pinnacle Wealth Brokers has got a 6,000, but at least 2,000 reps across Canada. They raise money through private investment funds.
So, but well, that I understand. Yeah, I know that business real well. Yeah, okay, but let's talk about your business. So let's say I were to ask Nick and Simon and Rick. They're wonderful people, really they are. Okay, I'm not going to do any more rainmaking. You are going to find all the people, and then I'll close them in terms of getting the listing, et cetera, et cetera. You know, our business would shrink by 95%, I think, in a year.
Right.
So what are these people doing that Nick and Simon and Rick can't do? How do they generate leads for you?
I mean, the same way that I have in the past. It's all networking and building relationships. The way that I've seen those reps do it is that they go out there and build relationships. Harder now in the virtual world, well, not harder, but just different. And that's the thing that I need the help with, because the way I've done it is shaking hands and meeting people and networking and doing all that I just need other people to do the same thing. And that's what the task is for financial services, sales guy.
Yeah, but this is real estate. It's different.
It's still just investments. This is primarily for the fund.
Yeah, I get it.
But also, people love apartments. They can invest in apartments with us, or whatever the case is, right?
Can we talk about the fund for a minute? We'll come back to this because I don't think I'm really helping much here. But let's talk about the mutual fund trust again. And, I didn't think, and I could be wrong, but I didn't think it was sufficiently differentiated to be really exciting. It didn't, when you described it to me, please don't take it wrong, but it wasn't something where I thought, oh my gosh, back when I was rich, I want to get my checkbook out and write Tim a check for $2 million.
Right. Okay. How is that? Okay, let me ask you this question. Looking at Chad's business model, it only does one thing. How is that differentiated from any other mortgage company? You got $10 million.
Yeah, well, Chad though was able to convince at least one, if not 2 or 3 funds to put $10 million on the table, right? And money talks and BS walks, right? You know that.
Yeah.
So Chad's differentiated value is that he's plugged into a few funds, and he could sweet talk them into putting money into his fund. That's okay. And Sean McCormick, who I also coach, he has Castle Bay Alliance. And you know, his fund is now about 15 or 16 million dollars, and his pitch is really not much different than Chad's. It's just that I really know what I'm doing. My loan loss record is very low. I'm returning 6-8% on a regular basis. And if you're tired of getting 1 or 2%, you know, invest with me. 6, 7, 8% is probably where we're going to land. And enough people have agreed with that. So that, I think, is Chad's pitch now. And, you know, he's probably right. And I know Sean McCormick, who's older than Chad and older than you, is in his 50s now, has a long, long history of success. So he was able to get, you know, 10 or 15 million dollars for Castle Bay Alliance. It's over 15 now. Maybe it's probably 16 million. And he will eventually, I'm sure, by the time he's 60, he'll be at 25 million. Which is still very small, right? That's still a pretty small fund.
That is pretty small.
Yeah, but I mean, I just think that I would like to have, if I were Tim Reid, I would like to have something a little sexier to sell.
Well, just to recap there, it's what they've been able to raise $50 million with the other two business verticals, which drive up their returns. So my partner in this action, so we've got $5 million under management, never had a default, never missed a payment.
Wow, that's good.
Just for 7 years. So that's the mortgage piece, the mortgage pillar.
Yep.
And apartment buildings, that's the next one, which is higher returns, longer cycle. And then rental development, and that's part of our social cause. And I've also partnered my real estate team with Habitat. You saw that in an email.
Yeah, what do you do with Habitat?
We're going to donate part of our commissions to them rather than Children's Hospital, because they do good work, and 100% of their donations go to building houses, and that's great, right? I like.
You know, it's interesting. It's interesting that Habitat. I'm sure you know the Habitat model, but Habitat does not provide free houses to people. You know that, eh?
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah.
That they still have a mortgage.
Yep.
So if you're going to donate some of your proceeds to Habitat for Humanity, which is a wonderful charity, by the way, I've worked with them myself, you could also provide them with some mortgage money.
Yeah. Yeah, we absolutely can.
I think you should. I think you should. And you know, I coached Habitat for Humanity. I think I told you that story. They rejected my coaching because I wanted them to include in their new builds, you know, a microsuite for rent, a basement apartment for rent, a side yard apartment, so that you give a person a fishing rod, not a fish, right?
Yep.
And they said, "Well, that's too complicated. Our people won't be able to understand that. You know, if you're an immigrant from Somalia, you know, it'll be hard enough just to, you know, understand that you have to pay your mortgage every month." And I said, "I think you're underestimating your clients. Everybody I know from Africa is an entrepreneur."
Yeah, I totally agree. There's lots of Canadians that need houses too.
Yeah, there's no such thing as Social Security in Nigeria. If you're not
here either, really.
You're either an entrepreneur, or you just die, you starve. I mean, there's you know, they don't send you the CERB benefit, right?
That's right.
Not in Nigeria, trust me. So every person I know from Haiti, every immigrant I've ever met from Haiti and from Somalia and from Nigeria and from Ghana, they're all entrepreneurs. And so anyway, after a year of coaching, they finally had a great idea. Hey, what if we included, you know, an in-home apartment and people could make some money with it? But they thought of it themselves a year after I taught them that.
Surprising how that goes.
Surprised, I didn't care. But what I'm getting at is I like that tie-in, but it might be kind of sexy as well if you could reverse sell them and say, "Hey, listen, come to us for some mortgage money."
No, I love that idea. I think that's great. I mean, it's also a solid investment. The loan to value is there. It's got
the loan to value is there, and you know, now one of the things that I talked to you about is I really, really want you in all of your deals that you do with your trust. I want you to make sure you have both power sale in there and foreclosure, right?
Always,
because you know, you want to be able to
sell a distressed asset.
If I were to loan money to Habitat for Humanity for 20 homes in Calgary or something like that, I'd be happy with that. But if they don't fucking pay, you know, Tim's fund is going to take it over and they're going to friggin' own it, and they'll do whatever they want with it, right? Nurse it back to health, wait for the market to go up and sell it, whatever.
We just
So
turned it into subsidized housing. If that person didn't pay, then we turn it into subsidized housing and add the basement suite if you had to.
exactly. And by the way, in the rent to own models that I teach, all the people that do rent to owns, and I've got clients right across Canada, not in the United States, but in Canada. One guy in BC who's very successful with it. He has switched his model now. He will not do a rent to own that doesn't have like a basement apartment in it.
That's interesting.
And I think you might add that to your model as well, Tim, because let's say you're coaching somebody to do a rent to own, and they have the house and they have the basement apartment. If you give the person in that house the basement apartment to manage and rent, it helps them pay their rent to own payments.
Yeah.
If they screw up, and unfortunately, they fail, usually those rent to own deals are typically 3 years. If they fail, and they bail, you keep their money, whatever they paid, they don't get it
Keep
back.
the deposit, and now you got 2 suites.
But you've got that little bit of income coming in from the suite. You can rent the upstairs now, and you can do whatever you want with it, right? So he changed his model about it must be now 3 years ago, and he wasn't doing many. He was doing 6 to 8 deals a year, and when he changed it to at the basement suites, he tripled his volume. It's like he does 18 or 20 of these deals a year. He's just an individual guy doing it. He likes doing it. And his default rate went way down.
Yeah, I bet, because it's easier for him to
Way down. And people were coming to him, people who have good income. Like I have a lawyer that I coach. I think I may have mentioned this to you. Certainly, he and his wife came to me for some coaching. He makes $350,000 a year. She has a decent job, also 6 figures. And they were on the verge of bankruptcy because their credit cards were out of control.
Oh, wow.
I think they had $400,000 or $500,000 in credit cards. And and I asked them to come, and I said to the young woman, they're both in their 30s, bring your purse and bring your wallet. And I made them take all the credit cards out of the purses and the wallets.
And on the table.
Oh my God, there was over 30 of them.
Wow.
They had, it might have been 35. I didn't even count them. And I said, okay, which one has the least amount on it and the most room? I have this one, it's $5,000. I've only got $3,500 on that one because all the rest of them were maxed out. So I said, okay, you get to keep that one. And I said to the lawyer, you get to keep one too. And then I took the rest of them, I put them in a bowl, I filled it up with water, I put it in my freezer, and I froze it. I did. And I said, you don't get them back until we've sorted through this thing. So
Right.
I think they each had one card with a $5,000 limit. And we had to do it. We had to do a proposal. It was so bad. It was like they were at 27% interest rate on those cards.
Holy cow.
Yeah. When you don't pay them, those credit card companies, you keep cranking the interest rate up. We're never going to catch up. Almost $500,000 in credit card debt, 27% interest. You figure it out. So anyway, so let's come back to the mutual fund trust just for another minute. So I like everything about it, including the development side of things. But I think some of your investors will be frightened of the development side of things.
And that's why it's specifically in order. So the lending is first. That makes sure everybody gets paid.
Yep.
Right. Their hurdle rate without fail, because it's easy to prove, it's easy to understand. Second is the apartment building repositioning, right, which is also a reliable thing. And if you look at all the stats, like Main Street Capital and all these guys, 10% year-over-year growth within COVID, that's the most resistant, to economic change market. And again, 3% vacancy is actually going down in Calgary, surprisingly, even though the sky's falling. And then for rental development, highest and best use, biggest margins, longest cycle. And we can do that with government assistance because we're about 10 years, at least in Western Canada, I don't know about the East, but 10 years behind the demand in rental products because developers just build condos in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, no, I do like it.
In that order.
All right. Okay. I'm buying it now, I think, more or less.
And those 3 pillars make for a very solid stool because any one of those things by themselves has inherent risks to it.
Yeah. And one of the things I've asked you to at least consider doing, in fact, there are 2 other things, maybe 3 other things that you might consider adding to the model at some point, maybe. And one of them is to take equity stakes in these real estate, some of them anyway, some of the
Oh, it's part of the lending. That's absolutely part of the slide, part of that slice. Yeah, in that vertical.
Yeah.
And mezz debt and equity.
Because
Absolutely.
Because otherwise you're just like we were.
Well, yeah. No.
Like when I first heard of the WeWork model about 4 or 5 years ago, I accurately predicted that this was going to be a fiasco. I said they missed out on 2 incredibly important, things. The first thing that they missed out on is they didn't own any of the real estate they were in. So all the uptick in the real estate, the appreciation of the real estate, the pay down of mortgage debt, they didn't get any of that. Their landlords did. It was incredibly stupid. And the second thing I didn't like about it was I thought, even back then, long before COVID, is that WeWork should be offering both live and work. So they should be having co-working space, but they should be converting some of those floors into microsuites, because can you imagine how much more powerful that model would have been if WeWork owned those buildings that they were in, and some of them allowed both the live work situation. And then we hit COVID. WeWork would have been, well, did you see what happened to Airbnb when they, in their IPO this week?
No.
I was watching live as Airbnb went their IPO. It was really exciting. They came out at $70 US a share, which I thought was great. I'm just going to get some water.
Yep.
So they came out at 70 bucks a share. And one of the co-founders was being interviewed, one of those, business shows. And as he's being interviewed, the interviewer was looking at her phone, and she was saying to, I think it was, I've forgotten his first name, but anyway, the co-founder, she was saying, oh, the shares just popped, and it's at 95. And he, wow, really? So it came out at 70, went to 95. Within about 10 or 15 minutes, it was a really good interview. And he was talking about, at the beginning of the pandemic, people thought, including me, that Airbnb might go bankrupt.
Like plunger, yeah.
It might just plunge into nothing. And they were borrowing money at 12%. That was in February, March of this year. They were giving back 1 billion hours of deposits. So anyway, then she says, your stock's at 135. Before the end of the interview, it was 145 bucks. It was like that was really exciting, there he is. His net worth in the 30 minutes or so that he was on the show, his net worth went from 4 billion to 11.
Wow.
I just couldn't believe it. That is really, that just never happens, right? That's lightning in a bottle. But the reason I tell you that story is I don't think you believe it, but I think Little Steps Academy could be something like it. I'm not saying it'd be worth $72 billion, but I think it could be worth a lot of money.
I think so too. Absolutely. I think this can go North American wide, and childcare is everywhere, other nations as well. Just to loop back real quick here on the mutual fund trust, I am getting some help with some documentation, and when you see it, I think you're going to be blown away.
Well, I'm sure, I know you've got some people in Toronto, but anyway, so the equity is going to be part of the mutual fund trust. Great. And the other thing on the multi-res part, I really want you to add something which I think is sexy, okay, and will help you establish, attract. I think instead of Sean's been at it for almost 10 years, and he's at 16 million. I'm proud of him. He's a wonderful guy. And when he's 60, 10 years from now, he'll be at 25 million. But if you added Main Street makeovers, which is how I think you create a multi-res portfolio with much less risk than development from scratch, then I think you can attract a few $100 million of investment.
I agree. The first round's 100.
Well, I want you to be successful. I can sit down again.
Is there anyone other than, I did speak with Chad about this, that I think there's a way he can be involved once it's built, that you think might be interested? I'm talking to one investor, he's interested, he's just waiting for a deal to close. And we have another project that we'll be paying out here, December, January, that I may only need 100 to move forward with everything I need for legal and so on.
So yeah, we'll come back to that. That's a good question. So you know what, I really like the model, right? The Main Street makeover model.
Yep. You went over this building.
I know that. This is my building in Belleville. I was just there. I just got back last night. I was there for 4 or 5 days, just managing it and supervising it. Really, my wife does most of it. I was just there to pay bills.
Hey, sorry, Bruce. I do have a 10:30 here. I just gotta let her know what's going on.
Oh, all right. Well, we can wrap it up anytime.
Maybe we could chat again for 20 minutes in a few days here if you're around.
Yeah, for sure. But let me just show you a couple of slides here that are really crucial. This is something your fund could do. You buy a property, or a client of yours buys a property for, like this one, for $280,500. Renovates it for about $1.2 million. You've got a $1.5 million investment in it. It ends up with 6 microsuites on the 3rd floor, 3 apartments on the 2nd floor, 1 apartment on the ground floor, and 3 retail spaces. Generates a net operating income about this time next year of $196,000 a year. And this is the CMA I did, the comparative market analysis I did, that showed this building will be worth about $3.5 million a year from now.
Wow, 5.5 market and you're getting 13. That's incredible.
Yeah. Now, so you say, well, Bruce, that's your CMA. You're biased. So I got it appraised. I provided my CMA to the appraiser. His name is Michael Cotman. He's based in Kingston, Ontario. He went to Belleville and he appraised it. And his appraisal came back a little bit lower. He came back at 3.2 million. But whether it's 3.2 or 3.5, I mean, I care, but I don't really care that much.
Not that much.
What I care about is the fact it'll have a cost base of about $1.5 million and an appraised value somewhere between 3.2 and 3.5. So if you think about it, I'm inventing multi-res. And the number of buildings on main streets in small towns across Canada and the United States within an hour or 2 of larger centers that are going through a boom right now, even before COVID, but after COVID, millions of people are moving out of large cities, but they want to be within an hour or 2 of the big city.
Yeah.
There are hundreds of thousands of buildings like this. And I think if you make this part of your pitch, people are going to say the development risk is much lower. It's already there. There's no zoning risk, and
you're revitalizing communities, which everybody loves that.
Tim, it's been a pleasure.
Thanks so much, Bruce. We'll talk to you very soon.
I'm super bullish on Little Steps Academy, and I want you to think about. I think you should raise $15 or $20 million for Little Steps Academy and blow that thing up. You could have 5,000 of those things across North America. If you had 5,000 of them, they're all worth $500,000. That's a big friggin' business.
That's a huge business. I think you're right. Let's talk about that further next time.
All right, put it on the agenda.
Will do. Thanks, Bruce. Take care. Bye for now.